Bahamas coming up tonight.
BPSU members are speaking up for those CLICO policyholders who are still not pleased with the payout process. That story straight ahead.
The government is revealing where it got the money to pay out CLICO policyholders. That story's coming up.
Welcome to our news. I'm Christina McNeil. Thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight, hours after developer Sarkis' Merlion renewed his bid for Baha Mar, Prime Minister Perry Christie revealed he sent a letter to the Export-Import Bank of China to determine whether Merlion's offer is being considered. Christie says he would like to see how the offer is constituted, but noted it's a question of whether the bank will make the right decision that's in the best interest of the Bahamas. Joining us in studio is our news' Vonique Toot. Vonique?
Good night, Christina. Prime Minister Perry Christie asserted last night that developer Sarkis' Merlion's offer to the Export-Import Bank of China is deserving of every consideration. He spoke exclusively with our news.
He met with me and discussed having put in a number of new offers to the bank. I have written the bank in pursuance of his advising me to ask the bank to confirm that that has happened and that they are giving consideration to it. Clearly, he is deserving of every consideration. And it's a question of the bank being in a position to determine what they're going to do.
In a letter to China Exim Bank, Merlion said he and his team have the best chance of opening Baha Mar quickly and successfully, adding they are prepared to invest the further funds needed to open the multi-billion-dollar resort. Merlion said their goal in structuring the offer was to ensure that the bank would not be required to take a discount or haircut on its debt.
I think it's a question of the bank making the right decision as what's best for them and the Bahamas. What Mr. Merlion has advised me is that he has put in an offer or offers that will not cause the bank to lose any money. I have not seen the offer. I'm assuming that that means it's an attractive offer. But again, it is on the part of the bank. They have to make that decision.
Baha Mar filed for bankruptcy in the United States last summer. The bankruptcy claim in the U.S. has since been dismissed. We asked the Prime Minister if he believes the developer has the necessary funds to get the troubled resort open and operational.
That's why I would like to see how that offer is constituted. Clearly, Mr. Merlion comes from a family that isn't short of money.
Though Merlion's relationship with members of the Christie administration hit a low point last year, with the Prime Minister at one point questioning his mental state, the developer said in a statement he wants to work with Prime Minister Christie to open the resort. Christie suggested last night they are willing to let bygones be bygones.
It was during my press conference and looking at the beauty of the convention center where I said to people, I'm now thinking of Sarkis Merlion and his original vision that he shared with me, and now I see it manifesting. And so clearly he has written me since indicating that we should put bygones behind us and get on with redeveloping and reconnecting and getting our relationship going, and there's no difficulty.
Christie noted he met with high-ranking Chinese officials who have agreed to take back recommendations. He's hoping that will bring them one step closer to the resort's completion. Reporting for our news, I'm Vonique Toot.
Thanks, Vonique. Well, high levels of crime, poverty, and unemployment are among the key challenges the country faces, according to a State of the Nation report unveiled by the National Development Plan Secretariat last night. Hundreds of people packed the College of the Bahamas Harry C. Moore Library to hear the report, which will pave the way for the creation of a national development plan. Chairman of the NDP Steering Committee, Felix Stubbs, revealed that while the majority of the population is working age, that won't always be the case.
The current structure of the population makeup provides the Bahamas with a demographic gift, as 66% of the population is of working age, between the ages of 15 and 64. This group must be engaged in extremely positive and productive activities if we are to be successful as a country. This is a gift we must utilize now.
Stubbs says that by the year 2040, Bahamians over the age of 65 will exceed the number of Bahamians under age 5. If not addressed, he says this will impact the economy, future jobs, and family structures. He also noted that lifestyle diseases such as diabetes and heart disease are a threat to national development.
Poverty is on the rise. More than 12.8% of our population, or 43,000 persons, live at or below the poverty line as of 2013. Many of the poor are working, and a significant percentage of our children live in poverty. More importantly, however, we are seeing generations of persons in poverty.
Prime Minister Perry Christie says the 79-page report is a snapshot of where the country is now, asserting the National Development Plan will not be a PLP plan, but a plan for the Bahamas.
We are challenged not to allow our politics to separate us from the overall goal of what is in the best interest of this country. This is a small country. Too small to allow the conflicts.
Christie says with Bahamians' collective imaginations and national cooperation, the country can bring about the fundamental changes necessary for the next stage of development.
We are able together to improve the state of the nation. We can all join together and aspire to do all of those things. This is the beginning of the next stage of our future.
Director of Economic Development and Planning, Dr. Nicola Virgil Roll, heads the NDP Secretariat. In other news, police on Grand Bahama have filed charges against the 2 men they believe are responsible for 4 of that island's latest murders. Pakisha Parker-Edgecombe reports.
A crowd of onlookers gathered at the Garnet Jail of Parity Justice Center in Freeport, awaiting the arrival of 2 men accused of committing murder. The arraignment of both men came following a press conference held by key members of the Royal Bahamas Police Force, at which time its leader on Grand Bahama, Senior ACP Emmerich Seymour, pledged his officer's commitment to bringing criminals to justice.
I would say excellent police work. The officers would have worked around the clock since these incidents happened. But notwithstanding, it was great police work. We couldn't have done it without the assistance of members of the public. And so I want to definitely thank members of the public who have assisted us in these investigations and continue to do so as we go about our policing duties and responsibilities.
According to Seymour, Grand Bahama is a peaceful community, and this is something that law enforcement officials wish to see continue.
And so I'm pleased that at least for some of the family members, we can put some closure to these incidents in that we have the persons responsible for committing these acts, or we feel the evidence would have suggested that these are the persons responsible. And so the families and, of course, members of the public can bring some closure to these incidents.
Heavily armed policemen were visible as 2 separate vehicles pulled up within less than half an hour apart. The first carrying 39-year-old Tavares Backford, accused of the murder of a 20-year-old man at the Fish Fry in Smith's Point on March 31st. 19-year-old Ronaldo Hudson followed Backford to be arraigned. He too with his eyes to the ground while being escorted. Hudson is accused of the murder of a senior customs officer in South Bahama, also on March 31st, as well as the murders of a 55-year-old female and 57-year-old male, which took place near Hearn Lane and Bruce Avenue on March 21st. Both men were brought before the courts less than 2 weeks after the 4 murders were committed, which took the murder count to 7, the latest on April 3rd of a young male in 8 Mile Rock, however, taking the total to 8 murders in Grand Bahama this year. Both men were denied bail and are expected back before the courts in July. Reporting for our news in Grand Bahama, I'm Pakisha Parker-Edgecombe.
And one grandmother left CLICO headquarters disappointed this afternoon when she received a payout of only $460. Simone Davis reports.
I had 2 of my grandchildren in the insurance, Carlicia McPhee, which is Warrenique, and Devon McPhee, and I had them in CLICO for over 13 years.
Naomi McPhee said she had high hopes of sending her 2 grandchildren to college and has been investing money in CLICO for about 13 years to ensure that when she retired, their college funds would be secured. However, those hopes were dashed when the company went belly up in 2009, leaving 13,000 policyholders in limbo. McPhee retired from her post at the Road Traffic Department shortly before CLICO went into liquidation and said she and her family have been depending on that money.
When they say that they went into liquidation, I come to see what benefit they would get. They want McPhee get $400 for 13 years. Lorette McPhee Warnick, she got $440.
She said this situation has left her family distraught and struggling to make ends meet. Attorney Paul Moss, who represents several of those policyholders, urged those who have not yet collected any funds not to accept anything less than what is owed to them.
I have a client who has consented for me to use her paper, the document that she got. This is Virginia Outen. This is what she got. Now, she is owed almost $335,000. The CLICO liquidator has provided a document to her, and this document says that if she signs it, essentially for $10,000, it doesn't mention that she will get the balance to her. In fact, it absolves CLICO, it phases them out of it.
President of the National Congress of Trade Unions, John Pinder, said he supports those policyholders who are not pleased with the payout process.
We surely would like to see a more transparent process as relates to the manner in which CLICO, this whole CLICO thing is being handled.
Moss is calling on the government to intervene on this matter to ensure that those CLICO policyholders get the exact amount of money that's owed to them. Reporting for our news, I'm Simone Davis.
After the break, we'll tell you where the funds for those CLICO payments came from. Stay with us.